Now, you would think that Trump's lawyers might want their own appeal heard and decided on as soon as possible, if they thought they would win it. But apparently they do not. They want a delay, because that is their main strategy in all of this. Let me read you one of the actual arguments Trump's lawyers made in court today in their formal filing to the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. This proposed schedule would require attorneys and support staff to work round the clock through the holidays, inevitably disrupting family and travel plans. It is as if the special counsel growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming, "I must find some way to keep Christmas from coming." It is one of the most spectacularly unserious legal arguments I have ever heard, and one of the most serious cases this country has ever grappled with. They literally called Jack Smith the Grinch. And the whole thing is extra comical when you think about how this entire case is about Trump's actions in the lead up to January 6th, when Trump and his lawyers worked around the clock through the holidays to try and overturn the results of the 2020 election. For example, on the last night of Hanukkah in 2020, December 18th, Sidney Powell, Michael Flynn, Rudy Giuliani, they all pitched Trump conspiracy theory after conspiracy theory in a, quote, unhinged West Wing meeting. The same night, the last night of Hanukkah, Trump asked his followers to come to D.C. on January 6th, saying, "Be there, we'll be wild." On Christmas Eve, Trump lawyer John Eastman wrote his now infamous memo explaining how Vice President Pence could stop the certification of the vote on January 6th. On the first night of Christmas, the federal indictment alleges that Trump asked Pence to overturn the 2020 election on Christmas Day. On the third night of Christmas, December 27th, Trump implored top Justice Department officials to just say the election was corrupt and leave the rest to me and the Republican congressman. And on the day after New Year's, Trump was on the phone with Georgia's Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, asking him to find Trump nearly 12,000 votes. How did they find time to wrap the presents or light the menorahs? What about the stockings? Was there no Christmas ham that year? Apparently, in Trump world, it is fine to work over the holidays if the work is trying to overthrow American democracy. But when the work is the most important legal case in modern American history, well, then suddenly Jack Smith is the literal Grinch. Attorneys need eggnog too, you know. Special counsel is amazingly already ahead of even this argument. Within hours of the Trump Grinch filing, the special counsel's office immediately filed their response and asked the appeals court to respond tonight. And the D.C. Circuit Court did just that. The Trump team's legal work will now be due on December 23rd, 2 days before Christmas, 8 days after the last night of Hanukkah, and 3 days before Kwanzaa. Plenty of time for gingerbread houses. And if Trump's legal team still somehow has gripes with the 23rd of December, I would like to remind them that on December 23rd of 2020, not only did Trump have time to pardon 26 people, including Paul Manafort, Roger Stone, and Charles Kushner, but Trump also found the time to call the lead investigator in Georgia's Secretary of State's office to urge her to look for wrongdoing in the election results and tell her that she would be praised when the right answer comes out. It is abundantly clear that Mr. Trump does not, but every who down in Whoville wants to quit the delay stuff a lot. Joining me now are Chuck Rosenberg, former U.S. attorney and senior FBI official, who is now an MSNBC contributor, and MSNBC legal analyst, our not-so-secret weapon, Lisa Rubin. Chuck and Lisa, well, I'd ask you, Lisa, are you preferential? Do you prefer the Lorax or the Cat in the Hat in your legal briefings, or is the Grinch sort of the go-to?
I actually think this is more like green eggs and ham. I was thinking about that tonight. And Trump and his lawyers are the Sam I Am of their own situation. They are endlessly trying to peddle, as green eggs and ham, this internally contradictory story. And yet, all of the judges that they encounter, unlike the character in the Seuss book, do not want to eat green eggs and ham, and yet they don't give up.
Yes. They keep well, first, I mean, I will ask you both, and Chuck, let me go to you here. I am not a lawyer. I say this all the time. I did not go to law school, but citing the Grinch and making the excuse that an appeals process should not be expedited because people need to celebrate the Christmas holidays seems far-fetched to me. What was your reaction to that?
Well, I thought it was juvenile. I'm glad you went to Lisa first because she was obviously well prepared on the Dr. Seuss references. I am not. But I will tell you this. On any holiday, military officials, federal law enforcement officials, intelligence officials are working. That's what they do. They work because the work is important and the work is necessary. And so the notion that the most important criminal case in the country can't be litigated by attorneys over the holidays is juvenile and nonsensical. And that was my reaction, Alex. By the way, calling people names in legal pleadings really doesn't get you any sort of traction. Jack Smith ignored it, and the courts will ignore it. I promise you that.